Welcome to another UCL Fantasy video. I'm going to be showing you the best Limitless team you can make for Matchday 3, and it could actually even apply for Matchday 4 too, although I might make a few changes when that Matchday arrives. But without further ado, let's head straight into the video. If you haven't already, you can check out my best wildcard team and team selection, which was merged into one video. But here we're just going to focus specifically on the Limitless chip. If you haven't used it Matchday 2 and you're thinking of using a Matchday 3, perhaps saving the wildcard for the knockout stages as I discussed in my chip strategy video, then that's completely fine. And what you can see on screen is my actual team at the moment before any wildcard is played. I already played my Limitless in Matchday 2 and you can find out how I did. But here we go with the Limitless in Matchday 3, and I have to say it's looking really strong. On paper, it's arguably looking even stronger than the Limitless team I played in Matchday 2, and that did really well. So I think this could actually be in for a really big score. So we look at the goalkeepers. You're having the two best teams, the two best offensive teams in the world covered with Manchester City and Chelsea, Ederson and Mendy. And as I discussed in my best wildcard team video, I think Mendy could actually get more save points this year in UCL Fantasy as he's been doing in the Premier League and FPL. And the same goes for bonus points with FPL. And here, maybe it won't go to that extreme because he wouldn't have to have maybe, let's say, a Man of the Match award. But still, Mendy has been so good. And with 2 games against Malmo, he's good for the Limitless either in Matchday 3 at home or away to Malmo. So Mendy's a really good choice. And one good thing about Ederson and Mendy is that they actually play on different days. So remember, you want to maximize your opportunities for returns. So by having a goalkeeper play on the 19th of October with Ederson and then having one on the 20th with Mendy, you can then bring Ederson off if he blanks and get Mendy on. So that's a really good thing about this, and having 2 of the best goalkeepers and also covering 2 of the best defensive teams. Then we're looking at the defense. I actually show a Juventus defender on my wildcard draft, and Alexandro makes it into this. He's probably the ideal one you want to get, and in Matchday 1 he had a mega score, and he continued that with a decent performance against Chelsea and against Zenit away and at home. Not the best fixtures on paper, but still Alexandro could be really good. One that I'm more confident about is Joshua Kimmich, despite him not really living up to the hype or the standards that he set himself. He's putting in some great performances, not translating that into actual goal output and ball recoveries, which he tends to be really good at. So that's a bit surprising, but Joshua Kimmich, very good option, and I definitely recommend him. It's not really a fixture where I think, oh, Bayern are definitely going to keep a clean sheet, but it wouldn't surprise me either. And Joshua Kimmich has so many avenues to points that I think he's worthy of inclusion in your squad. And then looking at Azpilicueta, you could go for Rudiger, Reece James, maybe Chilwell or Alonso, and also Christensen. But I've just gone for Azpilicueta. He's nailed. He gets ball recovery points. He has attacking potential. He's just the main man. He's the leader. He's the captain. And Azpilicueta's a great choice. It doesn't really matter. You don't just have to go for the most expensive player sometimes. Azpilicueta's a very good price, and he's just offering great value. So I'd go for Azpilicueta, but remember, you can go for maybe 1 or 2 different players to what you see on screen. You know, you don't have to just copy everything. You can present your own ideas as well. But in terms of the team structure, maybe targeting certain teams, you can definitely go for that. And the same goes for Joao Cancelo. You don't have to go for him because there is a possibility that Walker and Zinchenko play in the Champions League. So instead of Cancelo, you could just go safe and get Ruben Dias, who was rested. So maybe just go for Dias and cover Manchester City that way. He's definitely going to be starting that game. And as for Cancelo, the same can't be said for him. But if he does, I'd back him to outscore Ruben Dias, that's for sure, because he gets more ball recoveries, or at least he tends to, and he's got the attacking potential. And then looking at the final defender here, we've got Marquinhos. But if Rudiger is fit in time for Matchday 3, you could actually triple up with Chelsea defence with Mendy, Azpilicueta or any other one you pick, and also Rudiger. But of course, it's up to you. It doesn't have to be Rudiger per se. It could be another Chelsea defender. But I've gone for Marquinhos. Once again, he's not maybe, I'd say, the same level as Joshua Kimmich in terms of goal output, but he can definitely get a goal. He showed it in Champions League last season, even against Manchester City, and he can get a lot of ball recovery points. In Matchday 1, for example, PSG did concede to Club Brugge, but Marquinhos made 10 ball recoveries in a single match, and he's one of the best defenders in the world, to be honest. He's a great player, and he's just, I'd say, obviously he's not going to get too many goals or assists, but he can get a few even during the group stages, and he's got the ball recoveries in his locker as well as the clean sheet probability. Leipzig isn't the best fixture, I'll admit, and that's why if I was on the Limitless this week, I'd be tempted by going triple Chelsea with 2 defenders and Mendy in goal. So now looking at the midfield, this is probably the best looking part of the team. We've got Leroy Sané, who, once again, I discussed this in my other videos. Great performance in Matchday 2. He's having a really good season and a bit of a career revival under Julian Nagelsmann, and even for the national team he's doing well. So Sané, probably one of my favourite players at the moment, and even someone to consider on a wild card. Probably one of the best around 9 million and even below, so really good choice. And then we have former teammate Kevin De Bruyne. Now in FPL he hasn't really been delivering too much, but in UCL Fantasy he's actually been one of the best players over the last year or so, and that's why he's the most expensive midfielder in the game at 11 million. And against Club Brugge, a Belgian side as well, I think Kevin De Bruyne can do the business, and it'll be very interesting to see how he does, but definitely one to look at on a Limitless. I'd probably get Kevin De Bruyne, but Manchester City boasts so many attacking options like Grealish, who was also rested against Burnley. Then we have Foden, Mahrez, Gundogan. You know, there's just so much depth. We already know that. Bernardo Silva, but Kevin De Bruyne is the pick of the bunch. And then looking at Federico Chiesa, exceptional performance against Chelsea. He scored the only goal of that game, got Man of the Match award, 11 points. And against Zenit, I think he can also do really well. And he's just the main talisman for Juventus alongside Paulo Dybala. So this guy is a great player in real life, and he's going to translate that into points. He's not going to be scoring and assisting every single game, but he's one of the midfielders I back the most to do well on Matchday 3. And then we've got Mohamed Salah, wildcard, normal team, Limitless, it doesn't matter, just have him in your team. It's as simple as that. The form he's in, you just don't want to go without him, so just get Mohamed Salah in, and don't overcomplicate things, even if it's against Atletico Madrid. If you have an alternative, of course, and you're not backing Salah, then go for it, but just in my opinion, if you're in doubt, go for Salah. The same goes for the captaincy. And then we have Bruno Fernandes, faces Atalanta, and to cover Ronaldo, you could just go for Bruno Fernandes in the midfield, and if he's on penalty still, which might be unlikely, but it's still a possibility, Bruno Fernandes definitely has a higher ceiling compared to most, and he's actually been ticking along nicely in UCL Fantasy without many people realising. Of course, at 10.5 million, you don't want someone who just gets 5 or 6 points, but still, it's better than having 2 or 3 points every single game, and that's now 2 assists in the Champions League so far. He can even get a ball recovery point here or there, and he definitely has the goal threat. We already know that with Bruno Fernandes. And then lastly, we've got the free attackers, and we've got Karim Benzema. Talking about Salah earlier, who's the most informed player in the world? Is it Salah? Is it Benzema? It's definitely one of them. And Karim Benzema, despite maybe not living up to the hype in Matchday 2, still scored. And he's just in that type of form where he can score or assist in any given game. He faces Shakhtar next, and I think that's a good fixture for Real Madrid and Karim Benzema, so definitely one to look at. And on a Limitless, I'd probably go for him over Ronaldo and over the other kind of premium strikers. There is Lukaku that you could go for. Now, if you do decide to go for Lukaku, and I completely understand that, then you could downgrade or at least get rid of one of your other kind of Chelsea players. In this team that you see here, that's not an issue. You can just go for Lukaku, but for example, if you go for, instead of Marquinhos, you go for another Chelsea defender, then maybe just get Marquinhos or another defender and then triple up with Chelsea with Lukaku. But once again, with Lukaku, I'm not really too sure about this 3-5-2 formation Chelsea are playing. I think when Werner's on the pitch, it doesn't really benefit Lukaku too much. When Lukaku's at his best at Chelsea, he has Havertz and Mount supplying him. So if Chelsea revert back to that, then I think Lukaku could be exceptional against Malmo. But otherwise, I'd be a bit concerned and a bit hesitant before going for the Belgian. Otherwise, you could just go for Benzema. And to be honest, the 2 best UCL fantasy assets in the game, in my opinion, other than Salah perhaps, we've got Robert Lewandowski facing Benfica. Not the easiest game on paper. Benfica have actually been pretty solid in the Champions League so far, but this guy can score against anyone, and he's scoring in every single game pretty much. And whenever he doesn't score, it's a big shock. That's how much of a good goal scorer he is. I'm not going to talk about him too much. I think he's the best. Same with Erling Haaland, who's back from injury, scored on his return, and just another one who every single game in the Champions League pretty much, you see the notification, who scored? It's Haaland. Business as usual for the guy. And Ajax is a tough fixture, I'll admit. So if you're really just going to target the fixture and you're not too sure about Haaland or Dortmund, then just go for Lukaku. But honestly, Haaland is fixture proof, and Ajax Dortmund, as I discussed in my wildcard video and also team selection, I think Haaland can still score because it can be a really high scoring game. So that's the team I've gone for. Once again, you can go for a few differences. You can get Lukaku up front. You can maybe go for an extra Chelsea defender, depending on what you want to go for. Even one of their midfielders, but I'd be a bit, I'd say, less secure about going for one of them because Chelsea just have so many different avenues to scoring goals and also points. But thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, smash the like button. It really helps out the channel, and subscribe if you're new. Hopefully you found this useful. If you have any alternatives other than, the ones I discussed, feel free to let me know down in the comment section below, and also feel free to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Dylan_RCM is the same as my YouTube handle. Really appreciate all the support, as I always say. I do genuinely mean it. And of course, good to see everyone in the live stream earlier and also in all the videos and commenting, all these different ideas and also their teams and just different stuff, obviously. And good luck with UCL Fantasy Matchday 3 and the rest of the season. And I'll see you next time.